Hello, this is another episode of Moraine Reads, and the novel that I would like to talk about is Mysterious Skin from 1995 by Scott Heim. It begins with the narrative of Brian Lackey, and it goes like this. The summer I was 8 years old, 5 hours disappeared from my life. I can't explain. I remember this first, sitting on a bench during my Little League team's 7 p.m. game. Second, waking in the crawl space of my house near midnight. Whatever happened during those empty expanse of time remains a blur. When I came to, I opened my eyes to darkness. I sat with my legs pushed up to my chest, my arms wrapped around them, my head sandwiched between my knees. My hands were clasped so tightly they hurt. I unfolded slowly like a butterfly from a cocoon. I brushed a sleeve over my glasses and my eyes adjusted. My thoughts clarified. I was sitting in the crawl space of our house, that murky crevice beneath the porch. I wore my Little League uniform and cap, my Rawlings glove on my left hand. My stomach ached. My skin on both wrists was rubbed raw. When I breathed, I felt flakes of dried blood inside my nose. Noises drifted through the house above me. I recognized the lull of my sister's voice as she sang along to the radio. "Deborah!" I yelled. The music's volume lowered. I heard a doorknob twisting, feet clomping downstairs. The crawlspace door opened. I squinted at the sudden light that spilled from the adjoining basement. Warm air blew against my skin. With it, the familiar, sobering smell of home. Deborah leaned her head into the square, her hair haloed and silvery. "Nice place to hide, Brian," she joked. Then she grimaced and cupped her hand over her nose. "You're bleeding." I told her to go get our mother. She was still at work, Deborah said. Our father, however, lay sleeping in the upstairs bedroom. "I don't want him," he said. My throat throbbed when I spoke, as if I'd been screaming instead of breathing. Deborah reached farther into the crawl space and grabbed my shoulders, shimmying me through the door, pulling me, pulling me back into the world. Upstairs, I walked from room to room, switching on lights with my baseball gloves' damp leather thumb. The storm outside hammered against the house. I sat on the living room floor with Deborah and watched her lose its solitaire again and again. The following evening, I told my parents I wanted to quit Little League. My mother directed an "I told you so" smile at my father. "It's for the better," she said. "It's obvious he got hit in the head with a baseball or something." But my father marshaled the conversation, demanding a reason. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I wet the bed. The next morning, I rose with my skin drenched, partly in sweat from the summer heat and partly from the urine that soaked the sheet. My father stepped into the room, spiced from his morning cologne, decked out in the corduroy suit he wore to the office. "You're nearly 9 goddamn years old," he yelled, "and Pampers doesn't make diapers in your size." My mother blamed it on confused hormones, allergies from some new detergent, even something as simple as downing too much potato soup or too many glasses of water. Not long after that, I began fainting without warning. The blackouts, Deborah and I called them. They would come unpredictably at errant intervals over the rest of my childhood and adolescence, as often as once a week, as few as once a year. My eyes would roll into my head and I would drop like a shot deer. I emptied, as though my stomach and lungs and heart had been sucked from my body midsection. When the school year arrived, my classmates believed I faked the blackouts. They invented nicknames to refer to those times my senses clicked off and I fell to the classroom floor. Nutcase, they called me. Fake fuck. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Four more voices will enter the narrative, and they will be Deborah Lackey, his sister, who is trying to figure out why her brother has become so socially withdrawn. Neil McCormick, who has grown up in the same small town in Kansas, in the state of Kansas, by the way, um, who doesn't seem to have any connection to Brian. And then two folks who are early friends of Neil's and then become classmates and friends of Brian's in community college. And that's Wendy Peterson and Eric Preston. And combined, they will help him piece together where, when, how those 5 hours disappeared. This is a really painful read. Okay. And I remember I read it and then I heard they were going to make a movie out of it. And I was like, there is no way they could make a movie out of that book. And Greg Araki did in something like 2003. And I have to look up one of the, okay, Brady Corbett plays Brian. All right. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, now called Joe Gordon-Levitt, plays Neil. And either one is really it's a dark journey, but I thought it was really powerful. Um, I'm Joe from the library. This is another episode of Moraine Reads. Thanks for listening. Keep on reading. Take care now. Bye bye.